Columbia just landed a billion-dollar car plant with 4,000 jobs on the way. USC hit 40,000 students for the very first time, and downtown's population is set to double in about 3 years. Yes, the city is booming, but here's what nobody tells you. The chance of a lifetime is happening right now. In moments like this, timing is everything, and this video is here to help you make the most of it. Okay, when you look at the numbers, you can see how this boom ties together. Housing, jobs, growth, it's all connected, and it includes your next move. Right now, the Columbia Metro has over 870,000 people spread across 6 counties. That makes us the third largest metro in South Carolina, and we're still climbing fast. Another big growth driver is the University of South Carolina. This fall, enrollment passed 40,000 students for the very first time. Last year was 38,300. That's a big jump and a record. And as the years pass, I've noticed more students staying here after graduation instead of moving away. Okay, and you know what's really interesting? With so many young adults here, there's real first-time buyer window right now. We'll dig into that later when we talk about timing. But I can tell you this, investors are already jumping in because they know it's only a matter of time before that window closes. The median age here is just 29. I couldn't believe it either. That's a young, growing crowd driving demand for starter homes, restaurants, shops, and you name it. When you've got that many young professionals in one place, it pulls even more companies in. Now let's talk money. Per capita income here is about $36,500, which is roughly 90% of the US average. That means Columbia is still affordable compared to other fast-growing metros. But wages are climbing as new companies move in, and that's a sweet spot because right now you can still afford to live here while paychecks keep catching up. More students also means more housing demand, and that demand pushes values higher across the board. At the same time, the job market keeps expanding to handle all these new grads who want to stay here. But that's not all sunshine and rainbows. The student surge is outpacing new housing. The university keeps growing, but builders can't keep up. And that gap is what's pushing higher prices and making competition tough. And honestly, this is only the start of Columbia's story. Coming up, I'll show you the billion-dollar projects that are about to reshape our whole metro and open doors most people don't even see yet. But first, hey folks, Brent Downing here with the Downing Group at Keller Williams. This kind of info is helping you think about your next move. Do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button. After almost 20 years in the real estate business in Columbia, South Carolina, I created this channel to share what I've learned and hopefully make your decisions a little easier. My team and I love what we do, and we'd be glad to have you as part of our community. Now, let me pull back the curtain on what's going on around Columbia. Billions are being poured into projects that will change everything around here. The funny thing is, most people have no idea we're in the middle of this huge building wave. And it's big stuff. We're talking projects that completely change how the city looks and feels. Take Scout Motors. They're putting a $2 billion plant in Blythewood. That's 4,000 new jobs just minutes away from downtown Columbia. And when it's up and running, they'll build 200,000 electric cars a year. We're not talking about some startup making promises here. This is Volkswagen's new brand, backed with real money and real timelines. Now, here's something you might not even think about. A project this big changes property taxes, zip code by zip code. And when we talk about hidden costs later, you'll see why that matters so much. Downtown's getting its own facelift too. Project Catalyst is a $49.5 million upgrade to the municipal complex at 1401 Main Street. That's going to shift how downtown works and bring more people in. And check out this. The Live Columbia development is a $225 million project with a 26-story apartment tower and a 22-story student dorm. Cranes that tall in Columbia? That tells you something. Just a few years ago, no one thought we'd see towers like that here. And all these projects mean downtown's population is set to double in the next 3 years. Columbia is shifting from a college town with some business into a true metro with multiple engines driving the growth. It's not just downtown either. Blythewood is exploding. The Arabella Springs subdivision just got approval for 556 homes. That's huge. Pretty much a brand new town going up. And with Scout Motors coming in, Blythewood's about to turn into a major job hub. You don't drop 4,000 high-paying jobs in one place without everything else changing. Housing, businesses, even the roads. But you know what? Growth this fast brings problems too. Our roads, utilities, and services weren't built for this pace, and that's where buyers can get caught off guard. Next, I'm going to show you the hidden costs that surprise people when they move here. And if you don't plan for them, they can blow up your budget fast. All right, this is the kind of stuff nobody tells you before moving here. These are the little costs that sneak up on you and can throw off your budget if you're not ready. Everybody says Columbia is affordable, and compared to a lot of cities, it is. But there are some hidden expenses that catch people by surprise. First up, Richland County's property tax rate averages about 0.7%. That means property taxes will run around $700 per $100,000 in assessed value if it's your primary residence. But here's the kicker. It's not the same depending on whether you're primary residence or not. So many people from up north have called me and asked me about this. In South Carolina, you get a huge break on property taxes if your home is your primary residence. In fact, I've seen where the property taxes here are about a third of what people up north, like in New York or Pennsylvania, pay. And keep this in mind, it matters even more once you factor in lifestyle choices we'll talk about later, especially in one area where property values hold stronger than in most suburbs. Even with those differences, we're still below the national median of $2,400 in a year in property taxes. Insurance here runs about $2,000 a year, and that's not bad when you think about what coastal areas are paying way more because of hurricanes. Now, let's talk about home prices. The median home price in the Midlands is $283,000, and houses are selling in about 43 days. That's fast, so even with all the new construction, it's still a tight market. You gotta be ready to move quickly. Now here's the part that might bother you. Insurance rates are also climbing faster than expected. Even though we're inland, companies are hiking prices all over South Carolina. Storms keep getting stronger and building costs are higher, so premiums are going up. And prices overall, they're rising quickly too. Columbia is still cheaper than Charlotte or Charleston or Greenville, but it's catching up. A house that was $250,000 2 years ago is now $275,000. With all this growth, that trend isn't slowing down. And believe it or not, that's not even the toughest part. Next, I'll walk you through the infrastructure and climate changes that hit your everyday life here. Things that affect your commute, your comfort, and even your lifestyle choices more than any tax bill. Okay, folks, time to get real about the stuff you actually feel day to day when you move here. Talking roads, commutes, and the weather. Things most relocation videos skip right over. Here's the deal. Our roads and systems were built for a smaller city, and with how fast we're growing, they're struggling to keep up, honestly. On paper, the average commute is 17 minutes. That's one of the shortest in South Carolina. Sounds nice, right? But it's creeping up every year. And with the Carolina Crossroads rebuild, you're looking at 8 to 10 years of construction headaches. Carolina Crossroads is a $2.1 billion project to fix the I-20, 26, and 126 mess, otherwise known as Spaghetti Junction. They're rolling it out in phases. As of this fall, phase 1 is basically finished 99%, phase 2 about 89%. Next up is widening I-20 in 2026, followed by work on I-126, which goes into downtown, and I-26 through 2027. And here's where knowing the right neighborhoods really matters. Some spots, like parts of Lexington County, let you dodge the worst of it while still getting the benefits of Columbia's growth. I'll break those down in more detail a little further on. Now, public transit, pretty much bare bones. We've got like 34 bus routes and that's it. Rides are $2, but only about 1% of the people actually use them. Meanwhile, about 60% of drivers drive alone. And as we add more people, that puts even more pressure on the roads. And let's be frank about the weather. Summers here are hot and sticky. Daily highs run in the 90s, with humidity in the upper 60s to 70s, maybe 80s. I mean, it's oppressive at times. In July, the average high is 91 and the low is 73. That heavy air doesn't let up. If you're coming from a dry climate, it's going to feel like a wall of humidity hits you. But that's what air conditioning is for, right? You also get about 45 inches of rain a year. Storms are part of life here. South Carolina averages 14 to 26 tornadoes a year, and Columbia can see flooding during tropical storms. We're inland, but we're not immune. And don't forget, Carolina Crossroads runs through 2033. So if you move here now, you're signing up for almost a decade of orange cones and slow zones. At least if you're going through Spaghetti Junction. Since transit is so limited, plan on driving everywhere. Work, shopping, dinner out, and you'll need a car. And that means paying for gas, upkeep, and parking on top of everything else. But here's the good news. The traffic and the weather, they're only half the picture. Coming up next, I'll show you the lifestyle perks and cost of living wins that make Columbia worth it. These are the reasons so many people are still moving here, even with the trade-offs. So here's where Columbia really starts to make sense. Yeah, we've got our challenges, but there are some big reasons people choose to live here. Let's start with the money side. Housing runs 89 out of 100, which means 11% lower than the national average. When you compare our median home price to the national median of $420,000, Columbia comes in quite a bit cheaper. Here's a little bonus. South Carolina doesn't tax groceries, and if you qualify, homestead exemptions can cut your property tax bill as well. None of these savings are life-changing on their own, but stack them up and they make a real difference in your monthly budget. Now let's talk lifestyle. Columbia has over 60 arts and culture spots, pretty good for a metro our size. Colonial Life Arena holds 18,000 people and pulls in major concerts all year long. And we've got 3 main entertainment districts: the Vista, Main Street, and Five Points. Each has its own vibe. University of South Carolina adds even more. They put on hundreds of free performances every year. Concerts, theater, lectures, and more. Stuff that would cost serious money in a bigger city, you can enjoy here for free. The Vista is the place for restaurants and nightlife. Main Street is buzzing again with new shops and businesses. And Five Points, that's your classic college town scene. Always lively, especially when school's end. And that's really what makes Columbia work. You get city perks, great food, shows, cultural events, without paying big city prices for housing or day-to-day life. You can go out for dinner, catch a concert, and still afford a nice home in a good neighborhood. But hang on, because the biggest factor is still coming up. Up next, I'll show you the strategic timing advantage. Get it right and it could save you tens of thousands. Get it wrong and it could cost you the same. Here's the thing that separates the winners from the losers in this boom. It's all about timing, knowing where this market is headed and getting there first. Columbia is now the 3rd largest metro in South Carolina, but even with that growth, we're still more affordable than Charleston or Charlotte. That gap is closing fast though. Big corporate investments are bringing in secure jobs and stronger wages. And while the road work can be a pain right now, those projects are setting Columbia up for a long-term growth. The University of South Carolina adds another layer of stability that most metros don't have. Students, staff, and the businesses around them create a base that doesn't disappear when the economy dips. That's one of the reasons Columbia has weathered past downturns better than other cities. It's also a big reason property values hold strong here, even with the climate challenges we talked about earlier. Right now, we're in a sweet spot. You can still buy before the big projects wrap up. Once Carolina Crossroads is finished and traffic moves smoothly, and believe me, we can't wait for that, values in those areas are going to jump. Same with Scout Motors. When that plant hits full production and 4,000 jobs come online, the housing demand nearby is going to skyrocket. Downtown is still in the middle of its transformation. Prices today reflect what's here now, not what's coming. Out in the suburbs, development is moving fast, but it hasn't filled in every gap yet. That means you still have options today that won't exist once the best lots are gone. Let's talk about neighborhoods. Take Lexington County. It's pulling in families with better schools, lower taxes, and steady corporate growth. You're close enough to enjoy Columbia's momentum, but far enough out to miss some of the growing pains. Now, swing over to the northeast of Columbia. Here you've got higher-end communities where the basics are already in place. Roads, schools, utilities. You're not sitting around waiting for infrastructure to catch up. Then there's Blythewood. Right now it's still in that pre-Scout Motors stage, but once thousands of workers need homes, this market could flip almost overnight. And finally, the Lake Murray corridor. Lakefront homes work differently from suburban neighborhoods. They hold value in a unique way and draw buyers who are always willing to pay a premium for that lifestyle. But watch out, with growth this fast, costs won't stay flat. Insurance rates are already climbing with stronger storms and higher construction costs. Property taxes could also go up as the city pays for all these projects. The truth is, the best deals are in pre-development timing. Once the projects are done and everyone sees the benefits, prices will already reflect it. Right now, you can still buy at today's numbers and ride the upside of tomorrow's improvements. That window is closing faster than most people realize, but if you understand these factors, you can still set yourself up to win in Columbia's market. The question is, will you take advantage of these changes or watch prices rise past your reach? And if you're serious about moving to Columbia or investing here, don't try to handle it by yourself. Email me at brentd@thedowningteam.com and I'll make sure you've got the guidance you need. This market changes fast, and what works in one neighborhood could be a mistake in another. And those timing windows I mentioned, they won't stay open forever. Now, if you want to see the bigger picture of what's driving these market changes, check out the video on your screen. I'll show you why smart investors are getting in now before the projects wrap up and prices climb even higher. You'll see the full story behind Columbia's transformation and which areas stand to benefit the most from those big improvements you saw today.